you and your colleagues have decided that you are going to go to the United States and confront them, what would you be telling the lawmakers in the U.S.?
That what Ted Cruz and co said is not true. It's not true to say that Christians are being persecuted in Nigeria. It's not true. You know that it's not true. And thank God, you know, this thing came up from Ted Cruz, and it has been lingering around, dates back to 2020. And even it's, if in fact, Donald Trump in his first designated us as a CPC, they call it CPC, that is country of particular concern, where a group of religion, believers of any type are being persecuted. That is the act, So that means sanctions would be applied. We had a feel of it when Nigeria wanted to buy the Tucanos. Leahy, that time there was a Leahy law. So now a retired senator stopped us from there. It took the late president a lot of lobbying and some of our people to convince them that the terrorists have no religion concern about it. They just go about killing, and they needed the Tucanos. Fortunately, during the tenure of Joe Biden, that we were removed from the CPC list. What Ted and co are now trying to do, because of the recent incidences in the country, and unfortunately again, when a particular reverend from Benue, went before the Congress, it started in the U.S. Congress before in Ted Cruz case. Ted Cruz is coming up with a bill to design Nigeria specifically as CPC and also to impose certain sanctions. And this has far-reaching effect on not only Muslims, so to say, but Nigerians. Because that means, as we are fighting this war, majority, almost all the things that we use are the Nigerian security, the Nigerian army and security agencies use come from overseas. We don't even manufacture a bullet in Nigeria. So you see, when you have sanctions against a country like that, when now even with those equipment, we're still battling with the issue of insecurity in the country, and it seems to be even spreading all over. So if you have that jack on this thing of clock of not having supply of what the armed forces need, I don't know, I don't want to imagine.
So it has a...
If you look at what is happening in the southeast, predominantly Christians, most of those that are killed in the southeast, including the late husband of the man's icon, the way the man was shot dead and everything, will you come and ascribe that to religion? I'm talking about what IPOP is doing. You see brothers killing brothers. Okay, so the sit at home that is going on Mondays in the southeast that has almost crippled the economy of the southeast. Is targeted at Christians or Muslims. So Nigeria has complex security situations, and we should actually go out there and educate people so that they will know what to do. But when they just come out with a one-sided motion, it means they have a target, and that target is to strangulate the economy of Nigeria. That's my personal opinion. So I've got in the executive session to discuss this, but I don't think we can win. No group can win any discussion on this, because it depends on the state you are looking at. If terrorism occurs in a Christianly dominated state, most people that will die there will be Christians. If it occurs in a Muslim dominated state, most of those who will die there will be Muslims. But if it occurs particularly in the North Central, you will notice that it will be targeted at maybe churches, because that is what they are able to get. And then at the end they will say, oh, it's Muslims that kill Christians. If it happens in Kano or Borno, they will say Christians kill Muslims. So the way the whole situation is that we still need to go into executive session and get a date for our security summit, so we can have close discussion on these matters. What is happening in the United States is of concern to Nigeria. It's of concern to the Christians, it's of concern to the Muslims. Because the moment they bring sanctions will breed poverty. Poverty knows no religion. So for me, engagement will be the best. When we go into executive session, we can decide to set up a small ad hoc committee to go to the United States or America and engage our colleague parliamentarians there.
That was the Nigerian Senate denying the allegation by the American Senator Ted Cruz that there is an ongoing Christian genocide in Nigeria. The first to speak in that video was Senator Dume, the senator representing Borno South. And you know that Borno State is the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria. And Dume was denying that denying the existence of Christian genocide in the ongoing insurgency by Boko Haram, ISWAP, and other jihadist organizations in Nigeria. And he then talked about the implication of the Cruz bill, what is going to result to the sanctions that will come with it, how it's going to impact the fight against terrorism in Nigeria and all that. And then the next clip you watched was that of the Senate President, Senator Akpabio. Senator Akpabio was also denied it, that it existed. He made allusion to alleged IPOB killings in southeast Nigeria, which is predominantly Christian, and then talk about that when killings take place in a Christian-dominated state, that when terrorism takes place in Christian-dominated place, Christians will be killed. When it is in a Muslim-dominated place, Muslims will be killed. And of course, at the end of the day, he talked about the fact that they are going to send a delegation to the United States to go and give them a true picture of what is happening, saying that Ted Cruz and the Americans are not being told the truth of what is happening. It's also interesting that the person who sponsored the bill, who raised the motion to counter Ted Cruz, was the man you watched first, Senator Dume. Okay, so they are working to coordinate a defense that Nigeria is not a sponsor of terrorism, or that Nigeria does not condone terrorism or genocide against Christian population. Okay, but there is a video that I'm going to show you from American television with a reporter in Nigeria who also brought more evidence of Christian genocide in Nigeria. And that's what we're going to look at that very soon. But before we go into that video, before you watch that video, let us look at also the reaction of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. They have reacted to Ted Cruz allegation of Christian genocide in Nigeria, which was at the basis of his bill that is coming up very soon in the United States. And when Ted Cruz story came out, the Christian Association of Nigeria CAN agreed that it was true, that there is ongoing Christian genocide in parts of Nigeria. Okay, but that has been countered by the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, who have refuted reports circulating on international platforms and social media alleging that Christians in Nigeria were being subjected to a systemic genocidal campaign. The council described the claims as false, dangerous, and intended to destabilize the country. According to the Punch, the controversy followed accusation by the United States lawmaker Senator Ted Cruz, who alleged that Nigerian authorities were orchestrating genocide against Christians and permitting the destruction of thousands of churches. In an interview with Fox News Digital, Cruz claimed that over 52,000 Christians had been killed in Nigeria since 2009, and more than 20,000 churches and Christian schools had been destroyed. He also announced the introduction of the Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act in the U.S. Senate, a bill aimed at imposing sanctions on Nigerian officials he alleged were complicit in religious persecution. Okay. Now, in response to that bill by Ted Cruz, the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Archbishop Daniel Oko, acknowledged that many Christian communities, particularly in northern Nigeria, had experienced severe attacks, loss of lives, and destruction of places of worship. Khan stated that the healing of the nation will require courage, the courage to face collective failures, grieve together, and rebuild mutual trust. However, on Friday, October 10, 2025, the Deputy National Legal Advisor, Imam of Christian Imam Eze, the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, maintained that the report accusing the federal government of aiding the mass killing of Christians were both malicious and baseless. And the council noted that Nigeria's negative global image was largely the result of the action of certain citizens allegedly linked to Christian Association of Nigeria, who had turned self-denigration into a profitable enterprise. Okay, so they are saying it was not true. And they went on to say that in the past, when the chief of army staff, when the chief of defense staff and army were Muslims, the complaint was from Khan was that both were complicit. But now that all service chiefs, except one, are Christians, another culprit has to be created by Khan to malign Islam and the Muslims, the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs told Punch newspaper. Okay, now this back and forth, why this back and forth is going on, we now, American television has also come up to show that the situation in Nigeria is unabating in terms of the alleged genocide. And CBN, an American TV channel, now reported a recent development that took place on the 8th of October 2025, showing that the issue of alleged genocide in Nigeria is unabating. Watch.
Against Christians. Nasara Kim, my friend from Truth Nigeria, fill us in. What's going on?
Yeah, so of course, while the Nigerian authorities, while the Nigerian parliament is struggling to deny and spread, to continue their tradition of falsehood, of twisting the narrative regarding the massacres in Nigeria. Yesterday, 2 days ago, today is 10th, so we're talking about 8th now. On the 8th, there was a very horrific, just like you said, incident where Islamic terrorists set up roadblocks on a highway leading from the southern part of Jos to the eastern part of Jos, and it also connects from that axis. It goes further to connect with the neighboring Nasarawa states, where terrorists allied to Al Qaeda, allied to Boko Haram, have set up camps and usually come in to launch attacks. On communities in Plateau State and the other parts of the surrounding areas in central Nigeria. They set up roadblocks on that road and blocked. They literally stopped every vehicle that was coming and pulled out the occupants, pulled out the passengers, and isolated the Christians, right? So usually you have, since it's actually a highway, so you have minivans, mass transit buses coming in, and usually they will stop a bus and check if there's a Christian in it. They'll pull that Christian out and slaughter them. And right now, as I speak, as a result of that horrific incident, confirmed we have more than 8 people that were buried yesterday. I drove on that road yesterday, and it was as dry and quiet as a graveyard, despite the deployment of soldiers who eventually controlled the situation and brought some normalcy. But again, the entire landscape around that axis, the entire area is dominated by the Fulani. The only people, the only sign of life aside from soldiers that I saw on that axis, on the entire landscape spanning more than 10 miles, it was only the Fulani militants who, by the way, have been credited with thousands of genocidal massacres, possibly 6 times more than Boko Haram.
Well, Masar, you actually sent me a video of you driving on that exact highway. Let's take a look.
Right now, I am driving along a road that became a death trap, and probably it still is, to dozens of Christian travelers yesterday who were ambushed by terrorists. You can see the terrain and what it looks like. There is a checkpoint, a military checkpoint here, but it's deserted. All across this landscape, what you have is the Fulani.
Well, Masar, what you are saying, I've actually been seeing on publications kind of all around the world. There's suddenly this push in the Nigerian government to deny what you and your team have been reporting. But you just sent me videos of another mass burial of Christians in Nigeria. What are these videos that we're looking at right now?
Yeah, so those videos are actually from different incidences. Of course, just 2 months ago, we had an incident wherein more than 27 Christians were slaughtered just 15 miles west of Jos, the capital of Plateau State. And of course, that population included 11 children below the ages of 7, including a 2-month-old. The last time we had an interview regarding that particular incident, I reported that there was a 3-year-old that was killed. But no, that wasn't the youngest of the victims. There was a 3-month-old, there was a 2-month-old, there was an 8-month-old, there was a 1-year-old, there were 2 years old. Actually, the oldest actually of the 11 children that comprised or that made up the 27 death toll, the 27 victims were below the ages of 7. And like you said, the Nigerian government is trying really hard, is struggling, I would say, to deny what has been happening. But what they cannot deny is the reality, the facts, the evidences, right? So you can deny that Christians are not being killed, but locations don't lie. The mass graves don't lie. Christians will not go and gather to bury empty caskets or to just wrap some substance, maybe wood or something, in white fabric just to put on the ground and just claim that is an instance of genocide. You cannot deny that. You cannot deny the fact that there are IDP camps, refugee camps scattered across the middle belt of Nigeria and every other part of
That was the latest bombshell broadcast by an American television, CBN, where the American-based television network, the anchor Reina, was speaking directly with a Nigerian who is a reporter here in Nigeria, giving what happened, an incident of killing of Christians in Plateau State, where Christians were allegedly isolated and killed on the highway. And the person he spoke with there is Masar Hakim. Masar Hakim is of Truth Nigeria. So he was giving on the spot, on the ground reports of ongoing genocidal activities allegedly taking place in parts of Plateau State. And he from the report you heard Masar Hakim talking about terrorist camps that Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISWAP, and other jihadist organizations, they have camps around those areas that he drove through, and that from their camps they come out and they are attacking people. And he was saying that their main target are mostly Christians, and he narrated about the incident that happened in October 8, 2025, just within the period when the Nigerian Senate was denying that there was anything like targeted attacks or killings of Christians of genocidal proportion. Now that is, you have seen this channel has given you both sides of this issue of genocide. The Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs that denied there was nothing like genocide, Christian genocide, the Senate, including the Senate president, that denied, and then we gave you the position of Khan, and then a reporter who is on ground that reported an incident that happened in October 8, which was not reported in any Nigerian media. Okay? And this guy was on ground. He reported it, and he showed you others videos to indicate that he is well grounded and he understood the situation. Being on ground is not enough to be in Abuja and be in Lagos and say there is no genocide. Okay? That reporter, Masar Hakim, was on ground in Plateau State, and he reported a recent incident, and he gave other background information. Now, there is something that is missing in some of these things, and that is the fact that the Ted Cruz and others are not saying that it was the Nigerian military that are carrying out the genocide. That's not the report. That is not what Ted Cruz bill is about. It is to punish government officials that are complicit. What does it mean? To punish those people who fail to stop those who are carrying it out. Whoever they are carrying out the killings, you can say, okay, they are killing most Christians and Muslims. Okay, those who are responsible for stopping those people from doing their dastardly act, they are going to be sanctioned. Of course, Nigeria will pay the price, because these are the officials of government that will be sanctioned for not doing their job. Because you and I know, in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first responsibility of government is protection of lives and properties. Where they have failed, then the international community deserve a right to say, okay, you have failed. We are going to deal with you in this area if you don't sit up and do your job. So the whole thing is not that, because if you see the way people are narrating it, that it is the Nigerian government that are causing the genocide. No, Nigerian government has not been accused directly. But what they are saying, that Nigerian government is aiding. What do they mean by aiding? By not doing enough. If you remember, Alin Dume, in the first video you watch, Alin Dume was saying that this problem is also started when a certain reverend went to America, to the US Congress, to complain against genocide. That reverend from Benue he was talking about is Bishop Wilfred Anaba. Bishop Wilfred Anaba is the bishop of the Diocese of Makurdi, who went to the US Congress. And if you listen to what that bishop said, he said that Nigerian government has the capacity to stop those who are sacking communities in Benue State, taking over their land, killing them and taking over their land. That the Nigerian government has the capacity to stop them. If you go and watch his presentation at the United States Congress, he said that Nigeria was able to stop the killings in Liberia and Sierra Leone with ECOMOG and all that. That Nigeria has the capacity. So why are they not using that capacity to stop Boko Haram, to stop ISWAP, to stop killer herdsmen alleged to be involved in this alleged genocide? Why are they not exercising their power? And because they are not doing it, that's why Ted Cruz, people don't know, I'm not taking time to look at what Ted Cruz himself is talking about. It's not that the Nigerian security are the ones committing the genocide. The people that are committing this genocide are jihadist organizations like Boko Haram, ISWAP, killer herdsmen and all that. That's what they are saying. But Nigerian government is not doing enough to stop it. They say they are going to the United States to go and convince them that these terrorists are killing everybody, that they are not selective. But that's not the issue. The issue is whose responsibility is to stop Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, and other jihadist organizations from killing people. It is the Nigerian government. So what the United States government want to do is to use this bill to put Nigeria on its toes. Like you had the report by Masarakim reporting directly from Jos, Nigeria, not central Nigeria. He said that when people are killed, like that 8 people, he said that they were isolated, they were segregated from a bus and slaughtered. He said it will not be reported in the media. The only time Nigerian government report about things like that is when they kill like 200, 300, 100. So that becomes too much that they cannot hide behind a finger. And what would they do? They issue a press statement. United States governments are now saying, no, that's not enough. Issuing a statement of condemnation. You have to do more. You either hold those who are involved, those who are supposed to stop those doing it, you have to hold them accountable, or you have to hold the leadership of Nigerian government accountable. Okay, because if you look at the background of Ted Cruz, the Nigerian Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025, this is what it wants to achieve. Number 1, impose targeted sanction against Nigerian officials who facilitate violence against Christians and other religious minorities, including by Islamist terrorist groups. So the sanction is for the Nigerian officials who facilitate. What do you mean by facilitate? My understanding of it is that those who ought to stop these things from happening, who allowed it to happen, and nobody is held responsible. You have stories like the one by Bishop Anaba of Benue State, talking about that they will sack the whole community. Everybody will desert the community, and the people that sack them, kill people, will now take over the community, take over the ancestral land. And they will be building IDP camps for those people while their lands, their ancestral lands, have been taken over. Okay, so the government officials who allow this to happen. So why this will help even communities that have been sacked from their ancestral homes, that federal government must return them back to their ancestral home and ensure that they have security. That's my understanding of what this bill is all about. It's not the impression that people are looking at it from the perspective of what is going on between Hamas and Israel, okay, where the IDF are directly fighting with Hamas, okay. But we are talking about a situation where you have Nigeria is a country of law and order, okay. Like, look at what Masara Kim said. That highway he drove through, that you watch in that video, security checkpoints are there. So what happened that despite that security checkpoint, people were killed along that street? So some people who have responsibility to maintain safety along that road, they ought to be held accountable, but they are hardly held accountable. That's some of the things that they want Nigerian government to take serious. That's my understanding of what this thing is all about. So the Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act of 2025 will impose targeted sanctions against Nigerian officials who facilitate violence against Christians and other religious minorities, including by Islamist terrorist groups. Impose targeted sanctions against Nigerian officials who enforce Sharia law, Sharia and blasphemy laws. They require the Secretary of State to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, and require the Secretary of State to ensure that Boko Haram and ISIS West Africa remain designated as entities of particular concern. Of course, designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern was one of the requests that Bishop Wilfred Anaba of Diocese of Makurdi, that was one of the requests he made to the US Congress, that they should redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, because Nigeria has failed to protect its Christian population, and that until it does so, that should be the situation. And it appears that the US Congress and the Senate are now aligning together in heeding to the prayer of the Bishop of Makurdi that Nigeria should be redesignated as a country of particular concern. Now there is Nigerian government following the denial. They are now about to move into the US. The Senate will form a committee, apparently that will be headed by Senator Alin Dume, to go to the United States to counter Ted Cruz, okay, that there was no Christian genocide going on in Nigeria. It therefore means that Bishop Anaba will also have to embark on another journey to the US Congress, so that both of them will iron it out in the United States. He will present his allegations against the Nigerian government failure to protect the people of Benue State, who are being sacked in their communities and their lands taken over forcefully. And their government and the Nigerian government have failed to return them to their ancestral homes. It's going to be interesting. We're going to watch what plays out in the end. I don't know where you stand on this issue, but what is your position on the Ted Cruz bill to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, and the denial by Senate President and the senators, including the denial by the federal government of Nigeria, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the denial by the Nigerian Spring Council for Islamic Affairs? Whatever is your position on this issue, what is the way forward? Let's hear from you at the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, God will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you. Yes.